Hi, everybody. Thank you for stopping by Bookmaker. Preview of 3 big NFL games coming your way right now. And don't forget, on your smartphone, current updated odds are available to you for the entire menu of NFL games. Open up an account. It's free and easy at bookmaker.eu. Bruce, let's start with Atlanta at New Orleans. Falcons 2.5 on the road. Total is up there. We know that, 53.5. Let's start with one big word, pressure. It continues to mount on the Falcons, who remain unbeaten.
Yeah, and the 72 Miami Dolphins, too. Kuchenberg, Manny Fernandez, and the rest, they want to pop the champagne like they always do when the last unbeaten loses. I'll tell you, Brian, and you've seen a lot of these unbeatens, too, into November like this. Atlanta, good, but this is not one of the most impressive unbeatens I've seen. There's a lot of things Atlanta doesn't do right. They don't stop the run very well. They don't run the ball very well. However, they are finding ways to win, and they have been a very good point spread value on the road, covering all games away from home.
Last week, the Saints defense finally showed up. The problem we have is, was that an improved Saints defense or just a disaster on offense for the Eagles? I look at the total, Bruce, and I just think in the perfect conditions, this is a track meet, 53.5 is the total. The Falcons usually get a lead and they'll take their foot off the pedal. You can't do that against New Orleans. They're going to get theirs.
Well, and New Orleans has a string of overs at home, although it didn't go over Monday night. That was more due to Philadelphia's ineptness. Atlanta is not inept offensively. Matt Ryan and his weapons, and I'm still not sure the Spagnuolo defense has really progressed the way the Saints wanted it to this year. Beat the Eagles Monday night, but like you said, I think a lot of that was due to Philadelphia ineptitude.
Could turn into a track meet. And speaking of those Eagles, it's a huge NFC East showdown this weekend in the city of brotherly love. Let's get a preview with Todd Furman.
Dallas takes their show on the road down to Philadelphia, where the Cowboys are a 1.5-point favorite, total 44.5. This Dallas team hasn't exactly been what we expected, nor have the Philadelphia Eagles. An NFC East de facto elimination game this weekend. We really should be calling this the Underachievers Bowl, as neither of these so-called elite NFC franchises have lived up to their lofty preseason expectations. When we talk about the two coaches here, it's hard to try and decide if Andy Reid or Jason Garrett's the coach that's going to lose his job. Obviously, the precedent has been set. These guys need to get to the postseason, and it all starts on Sunday. Combine these two teams, minus 20 in the turnover department, and they're against the spread. Results just as abysmal. Philadelphia 1-6-1 against the number. Dallas slightly better, but only 3-5-1. Strong trends playing against the Cowboys here. They're 5-18 against the spread as a favorite, 8-22 against the number against conference opponents. That's not going to line anybody's wallet. The Cowboys haven't had much of a ground game lately. The last 3 without DeMarco Murray, who's again listed as doubtful. 65 yards against Atlanta, 19 against the Giants, 85 yards versus Carolina, but lost in that box score. Dallas only averaged 2.7 yards per carry. Not going to get it done this weekend. Philadelphia on the other side, they've struggled offensively just as much as Dallas. 22.5 yards per point, which leaves them dead last in the NFL. 37.5% of their trips into the red zone have resulted in touchdowns. Gives them 30th in the NFL, ahead of only Cleveland and Kansas City. Defensively, the Eagles have struggled mightily, and it started with their rush defense. They've given up 136 yards or more. Juan Castillo, the best thing that may have happened to you may have been getting let go by this Eagles franchise who's taking on water faster than the Titanic. This game really boils down to which team makes fewer mistakes, and I don't have a lick of confidence in either of them to offer you a good selection. Let's send it back to Brian and Bruce for the game of the week.
Okay, Todd, this Houston-Chicago game is pretty compelling. 2 7-1 teams. But, Bruce, we have to talk about the number. I think everybody collectively did a double take when they saw the Bears a 1-point favorite in this game. The total on the contest is 41. At first blush, you look at it and say, Bears got to be 3, don't they?
Well, they might, except if you think these scores have become distorted and grown exponentially in the Bears games because of a couple of things. One, the ineptitude of some of the opponents, and 2, some of these fluky scores. Although I don't want to say it's fluky. It's happening a lot with the Bears defense. They've had 7 different interception returns for touchdowns this year. They're making a lot of big plays. But Houston doesn't make those sorts of mistakes. Houston can also run the ball pretty well. So I don't think you're going to see Houston melt down, or at least it doesn't figure to melt down the way some of these Bears foes, like the Titans, did last week.
I'll use the same philosophy you used and just turn it around on you. Houston hasn't played a defense like this, and they're coming off a sleepwalk win and cover over the Bills in a game they were thoroughly disinterested in. But the one thing you mentioned, Bruce, balance. And Houston has to stick with the running game, and they've got the horses to do just that.
Well, that's right. Arian Foster can run. Matt Schaub is very good at controlling the pace and flow of games, and that is one thing that Houston will do, and it has been a landmark and a hallmark of what they've been doing since last year for Gary Kubiak. Balance, and they stick to it. You make a good point, Brian. They don't abandon the run like some of these other teams do when they get behind. They're very patient, very conscientious to establish a run, and they've got the guys to do it. slowing the pace, I think, helps Houston's chances.
And watch the weather. Potentially bad weather in Chicago this weekend for an already low total, and it's a game being played in the evening in Chicago. Should be a great weekend of NFL football. We hope you enjoy. It's all available for you here at Bookmaker.